Hey everyone,
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Owen Finch, and I'm here with.
AJ Talent back after what, like 3 months?
I mean,
And
we've made videos and we've talked, but yeah, this is our first like legit video of like reviewing something in 3 months. We're going to do a recap of Breaking Bad season 4 episodes 4 through 13. We gotta say it, like when it comes to season 4 Breaking Bad, it's like bad luck for me. It seems like
exactly.
awesome.
Like we were on track, we were going to get all these done before the movie came out. Here we are in January. Movie's been
Yeah,
out for 3 months,
we
and we call them recaps, but it's like it's not really. We're doing more than just going over what happened.
yeah.
We're talking about like how this relates to stuff in the past and the future, what we think about certain things, that kind of thing.
So since we've made this a running joke, if you've never seen Breaking Bad, you better click off in a second because I hate to tell you, but Gus gets blown up. So there
Yep.
you go.
Spoilers. Um,
Um,
I'm glad you remembered to do that because I was about to say, yeah, we got to say spoiler at the beginning of the video.
yeah. So yeah, pretty much what we're gonna do is, we're gonna, if you want to see like the full reviews that we did of these, I think it was literally a year ago. We actually finished this season. I don't
Yeah, I
think it's
think so.
I don't think it's quite there yet. I remember it because it's this is funny because we said we were gonna do it like at the end of January, and I remember when we were watching it, like we literally finished it like the last day of January, like when we did these reviews at the time.
Yeah, so it's been a while.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I've seen
and yeah, go watch those videos if you don't want to be, well, not spoiled because we already said what happens with
yeah,
Gus. But if you want to see our thoughts on it, like, well, your thoughts. I had seen the show already,
yeah,
but your thoughts on just the Breaking Bad show
yeah.
before you know what happens.
So I mean, kind of your thoughts too, because you don't really say anything like leaves
Yeah,
anything
I don't
away.
see what happens, but like that's normally what we do. Like you don't know what happens, and I normally
Yeah.
do, which is why I'm
Um.
excited when we start Walking Dead later this year because it'll be the opposite.
All right. So let's go over this stuff. We're gonna do it a bit episodically, but obviously since it's just
Yeah, we'll
we
skip around because we already did the episode reviews. Go watch those.
so when we last left off, we were talking about we had just found out about Gus's past, about why kind of Gus the way he is. So I just kind of paint that picture. So we left off on episode 8. We're on episode 9 now, and um, it kicks right off pretty much with Walt and Hank going to get the GPS tracking device that was left on Gus's car the previous episode. I think it's kind of cool because Hank's all like excited because he thinks it's an easy way now for him to catch up. I mean, to catch Eisenberg now because I mean, he just thinks he has it well in hand. But he
And I'm
kept,
glad Hank is like kind of doing this just because like you know he got crippled at the end of in season 3, so
yeah,
it's kind of like he was kind of benched for most of the season. So even if he doesn't do that much in this season compared to other seasons, it's still nice he's like kind of doing something.
yeah. Um, and when he connects the which I think we talked about this at the time. If this happened today, he would just easily be able to do like a live viewing of it. Like that's kind of what sucks that this happens for them. Like back in actually helped Walt back in 2009 because he has to go and get the GPS and hook it to his computer. So um, yeah, but he realizes like Gus is because we found out like Gus has just been when he goes to Los Polos, he's just been putting it on the trash can at the end of the day and like driving home, and Hank sees that he's only gone to his house and the one of the Los Polos Hermanos restaurant, the one we always see him at, um, and later on in the episode, Hank realizes pretty much that this is pretty much BS. Like, there's no way if you own like a ton of franchises that you're only gonna go to one franchise in your house. Like with how
Oh
busy
yeah,
it
like a bunch
gets.
of like food chain stores.
Yeah,
It's like if you own 10 McDonald's and you only go to one McDonald's in your house.
yeah. Um. So he finds pretty much what I kind of call like the main laboratory that they're at. This is where like Gus has like has had like his meetings that we've seen him in like the last.
Yeah, it's not really a laboratory, just like their office, I guess.
Yeah, and Walt freaks out, and I think it's kind of cool because like Walt has to seem like he's on Hank's side, but he also has to keep Hank from being there because Walt originally lies and says he can't go, but then Hank is going to originally get someone else, and Walt says, I've had so much time invested in this. I want to be the one to actually help you catch him. So it's kind of like, it's like, if you want to make the Death Note comparison, it's like that, like, Light Elfin, well, Light's, working with the task force, and he's trying to, he's the one that's like, solving the case, but not solving the case of Kira.
Yeah, he's making sure he's pretending to solve the case, but he's making sure that no one actually solves the case because he's the one they're chasing. By the way, and I do like how because like they had that scene when they first put the tracker on. Gus is right in front of Walt's face in the restaurant, and he can't do anything about it. I'm sure it's the exact same thing. I'm sure Walt would love nothing more than just to let Hank arrest Gus, but he can't,
Yeah. Because like we said, Walt said this. Hank catching Gus is Hank catching them also.
Exactly. So it's like Walt has like the prime opportunity to get Gus out of the picture, but he can't do it,
And it's kind of cool because Walt and Gus, even though they're not really working together, but they kind of have to like put the differences aside and kind of work with each other to make sure like Hank's out of the picture. So he calls Mike, and pretty much they have to clear everything out of this place.
And they aren't happy about that.
Yeah, and I do like that Mike and like Jesse have like a heart-to-heart conversation about like what they're gonna do about Walt now. Because obviously, Walt's kind of starting to lead to a lot of issues now that he's he's kind of leading to Hank kind of catching them now in a sense. So Walt's kind of treading water a little bit with them. And why don't you talk about, because there's an important scene. I know you love to talk about this. I always leave this scene. I think last time I talked about this scene because I had known about it, but now I'm gonna let you talk about this scene. It leads to an awesome scene in this in this part of the scene. I don't know.
So Jesse's like in this other guy are like moving a steel beam, or like whatever from the office, into the moving trucks. All of a sudden the dude's brain is just all over the wall.
Yeah.
And Jesse's like deer in headlights. He's like the sound goes out and he's like, what's happening? People are dying around him, and then there's a sniper about to kill Jesse. Mike like barely pushes him out of the way, and they take cover.
I do kind of like it too because it was Jesse's PTSD kicking in too, because it kind of brought him back to when he had to shoot
back to, like, the whole Gale situation.
Yeah. But there's more.
So the guy's shooting at Mike and Jesse, and Mike's like, all right, well, we're gonna be here for a while, and then Gus just steps out, starts walking towards the dude. The guy's shooting around Gus, like picking up dirt and stuff. Gus just scouts out there and does this. No words or anything. Yeah. And the guy just leaves.
So Gus...
And I gotta wonder, how did Gus manage to walk out there with such heavy balls?
I know, yeah. Gus, just walks pretty much through bullet holes, which is...
Oh, that's one, by the way. We make a I keep count of every time I need to look up a Breaking Bad scene when we make these videos.
Yep, that's one.
So that's one.
But it's just so cool. It's so badass that Gus just walked through bullet holes, pretty much. So...
And, like, he knew that the guy wasn't going to kill him.
Yeah.
Obviously, but...
And, Jesse's upset about this, because Mike reveals this, that since the cartel needs Gus for his trucks to, to get the drugs back and forth and such, and, because Gus is good at, like, the business side of things when it comes to doing this, they're not going to kill him. And Jesse's upset because everyone else is kind of, like, pretty much walking targets, pretty much. So Mike says, if you have any issues with this, why don't you discuss it with Gus? Meanwhile, as this is happening, Walt continues to ask Jesse, since Jesse has the licensed cigarette, like what the progress is of doing this, and this is like one of the only plot holes of the whole season is, because I remember the scene, you might remember it too. There's like literally a scene where they're like outside and like smoking a cigarette together, and they're pretending to have like a legitimate conversation, but under their breaths, they're saying the status. Like Jesse says, "Look, I'm gonna do it, okay?" And it's just not the smartest thing because they're literally talking about this like when there's a camera.
Right, like Walt helped Walt contributed to research that won a Nobel Prize, and he's just talking about this in front of the camera.
Yeah, like.
Although to be fair, it did work out for him in the end because that helped convince Jesse that like Gus knew about the ricin.
Yeah, but it's still crazy to think because like I said, we didn't get to talk about it at the time because it was so spoilery that Gus never knew about the ricin because they literally.
I know, it's super weird.
They were literally talking about it like
basically to his face, basically.
Yeah. Like, was Gus just not at his computer watching it at the time?
Honestly, if I just sat around watching people do whatever, like working at a laundromat all day, I'd probably zone out too.
Yeah.
Like, we think Gus is like this evil mastermind, but really he's just like zoning out all day. Like, huh? Wait, did they say something important? Probably nothing.
And he can't rewind it and anything. Like, imagine, like.
Well, that's the thing. He totally could, because remember that's a plot point in season 5 when they destroy his laptop because it has all that footage on it.
So he literally could have just gone back, I'm like that. Imagine until that happened to them. That's what messed him up. He literally went back on like a random day and just found that conversation. Like, I
know, right? Like, oh my god. So kind of a little bit of a plot hole there, but we all make our little goofs. Breaking Bad's, it has to be. It can't be completely perfect, or else it'd ruin every other TV show for us.
Yeah. It's so fun. It's just funny to talk about that type of stuff, though.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is we find out. Well, actually, first, Jesse goes to Gus's house because I feel like I gotta talk about this scene before I talk about the what.
Oh, and this is a little thing. Gus mentioned the Walt that like he had kids and a family.
Yep.
Because he had like toys around the house and like pictures and stuff. But when Jesse's there, like all that stuff's gone.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of like. I mean, I feel like that's kind of just like showing that like Gus like lied about that, and he made himself more of like a family man to Walt to like get on his good side.
Yeah. So there you go. So I like.
Because I mean, they never mentioned Gus having kids after that, so I assume he doesn't.
Yeah. So Jesse is considering poisoning Gus, but he's making the soup and pretty much he's screwed because they're both eating out of the soup and they're both drinking from the same wine bottle pretty much.
Yeah, so it's like he can't really do anything unless he wants to poison himself.
Yeah. And Gus is asking Jesse if he can produce Walter's formula, and
Jesse, of course, takes this as, like you want to replace me with Mr. White. You want to replace Mr. White with me.
Gus says, pretty much that's not what I asked. He reveals that the situation with the cartel is too dire to really deal with directly, so he pretty much has to give in to their demands because if Gus deals with the cartel directly, it would help Hank's case to realize that he really is this drug overlord that he's made out to be.
But I like the way Gus like phrased the question. Like I think they never say it, but I think Gus kind of like respected Jesse's loyalty.
Yep.
Like I think Mike at one point said like, I like your loyalty, but you have it for the wrong guy. I feel like Gus kind of feels the same way. Like he likes that Jesse's loyal. He just doesn't like that he's loyal to Walt.
Yeah. So then we find out that Walt hid a GPS tracker himself onto Jesse's car, and he goes on his computer and finds out that Jesse was at his house for like over 2 hours. So he had like a perfect opportunity to kill Gus and didn't take it. And Walt's pissed about this, And I just feel like this is kind of what's cool about Breaking Bad. Just timing's great because, of course, right when he finds this out, Jesse calls him and has him come over his house, which I think is just kind of cool. Um, and Jesse's basically asking Walt to coach him on how to make his formula because he knows how to make the meth, but he can't get it to the purity as Walt's. So
right. And then, like you said, he's never done it in like that high tense situation where he could die if he gets it wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, also it's like Jesse's ego, like Jesse's confidence is very low. I'm sure he probably doesn't think he can do it, like to that level.
Yeah. Because even if he gets it wrong, if the cartel doesn't get him, Gus definitely would probably the first chance he got.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, no, it's just like he's done it with Walt before, but like he hasn't cooked on his own since season 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And even then, it wasn't like remember there was that montage with he was cooking with Badger, and Jesse was like, "No, it's not good enough. It's like not nearly as good."
And then he, like I said, because the equipment's obviously different too. He hasn't done it in a super lab either.
Yeah,
so
which is actually a plot point later on because Jesse just knows how to go through the steps. He doesn't know like the science behind it.
Yeah. So yeah, Walt. I love Walt's response. All he says is, "So you saw Gus?" That was his response because Jesse, he realized Jesse wasn't going to have a way to really go around that pretty much. Like Jesse's lies kind of caught up to him now in a sense. And Walt's pissed because he had so many opportunities. Jesse had so many opportunities to kill Gus that he didn't take it, and now it's cost him Walt's life and Jesse's life because if he wouldn't even have to go to Mexico and stuff to begin with and all that type of stuff. And Jesse's pissed because since Walt bugged his call and just didn't trust him, so Walt says, I hope you go to Mexico and end up in a barrel somewhere. So it leads to this big fight. Where
let's stop him in this time because Aaron Paul wasn't having any more of that shit.
Yep. I don't think there was a report that came out that Aaron Paul got legitimately beat up because I remember every time he did one of these and we talked about a fight that Aaron Paul was in, it was always one of those things where he would accidentally get hit. Where
there was probably a scoreboard seeing who could beat up Aaron Paul the most during the
show.
I like how Aaron Paul loves this show and was super happy to come back to it. But really he's just like Stockholm syndrome. He's like they just beat the shit out of him all the time.
Yeah. That didn't happen this time though, because I saw the behind the scenes of this. This time they got 2 stuntmen, and they were going to originally themselves do this fight, but Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul were like, "No, we got." Aaron Paul probably was like, "You know what? I got beat the crap up enough as it is. Why not?"
I know, right? Okay, Bryan Cranston, it makes sense because he was 60 when they made this. So
yeah. But Aaron Paul was like, you know what? If I've been getting beating the crap out of it, then I'm just gonna take it. But Bryan Cranston even recommended himself he wants to do this fight himself. So, those stunt doubles just got brought in all for nothing. So,
yeah.
I mean, I think they still got paid for work, but they didn't even get to make it on camera or any of that. So,
right? So damn.
They made it for the DVD portion, but not on TV. So, Vince Gilligan was probably like, I know we hired you, we'll still give you the money, but we don't really need you now.
So any opportunity to get Aaron Paul hurt.
Yeah.
So anyway, they have a fight, and this is probably my favorite of the fights they've had.
Yeah.
Just because Jesse just mops the floor with Walt.
I mean, Walt actually was holding his own. It's just what actually screwed him over was that he trips him and he lands face first into a glass. Ashtray. And then he owns him. I think this fight was kind of cool too in the sense because typically if they have a fight, because we've seen it before, it's usually just like a fatherly son type of fight where they usually just make up and they just wrestle. This time it was they full on just wanted to beat the crap out of each other.
Right. It was a stress fight. They were just so anxious and on edge.
Yeah.
And they just needed to beat the shit out of something.
And I like too earlier in the episode it alludes to this fight. Like they don't show like what happens, but it shows like the remains, like Walt's glass is all broken and stuff like that. Like right before, like in the beginning, like the teaser. Um, and then you know, pretty much Jesse throws Walt out and tells him, you know, get the fuck out of here before and never come back, which is like the one F word they could
And
say.
I like the way he did it too. He was like asking Walt if he's okay.
Yeah.
And as soon as he said yeah, Jesse's like, good, then get out.
Yeah. And yeah, it was kind of cool because Gus's plan worked. He wanted to turn these two against each other, and
he did.
Yeah, he did. So pretty much, you're kind of wondering now, like, what's going to happen? What's going to be the fallout of now this fight? So then, the next episode, we'll just talk about Walt misses Walter Jr.'s birthday. They actually did a deleted scene of like Walter Jr.'s birthday, like him getting the gifts and stuff like that. But obviously, because it wasn't super important, they cut it because it was just really just him opening his presents. So why would they? I mean, that makes sense. Like that's just not important at all to put in there. So
he got a new car and he drives over to Walt's place.
Yeah.
And he finds Walt there, like drunk.
Yeah, drunk.
Like beat up.
Obviously
from the fight.
And he took like probably like a ton of medication and stuff like that.
Yeah, for pain. So I think Walt even says like, all right, alcohol and pain meds probably not the best combo.
Yep. I like to actually too when Walter Jr. gets the car, you can tell he's not really satisfied with it because he literally just had like the newest car on like the market.
Yeah, but Skylar made them return it, because they didn't fit their story.
Yep. So it's kind of like it makes Skylar look like even more of like the bad person because literally she they call what they got what they call like a mom call pretty much.
Yeah,
and
like like a minivan, and
yeah.
He would pick up his kids from soccer practice with that,
Yeah.
And he sees Walt all beat up, and he's like gonna call his mother, and Walt's lies and says that he was out gambling and he got beat up.
Yep. And a cool scene that comes out of it is you could talk about it. He puts Walt to bed, and
I really want to talk because I thought when I first saw the scene, Walt was gonna lie more, but really him saying that he was out gambling was really the only lie he said.
Yeah.
He starts crying. It's kind of weird to see Walt so vulnerable.
Yep.
Because you can tell he's really been holding all this in, and he really regrets how he acted to Jesse.
Yep.
Like he regrets that Jesse's gonna possibly get himself killed, and Walt just blamed him for all his problems.
And he ruined the relationship between him and Jesse.
Yeah. He was crying and said I made a mistake.
Yeah. And then Walter Jr. puts Walt to bed, and why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, Junior puts Walt to bed, and he's leaving the room, and Walt's asking him some questions while he's half awake. He's like, "Oh, did you enjoy the car?" And Junior's like, "Yeah, it's great," and then Walt answers back "That's good, Jesse."
Yep.
So it's not in we're gonna make a top 10 video for our favorite moments.
Yeah.
That doesn't make the list, but it's really good for me. It's really heartwarming for me.
Because obviously,
there's a lot of people who think, "What's up?"
A lot of people, make obviously the show really ties in that Eisenberg is the father of Jesse. So this is kind of really nice little teases to it. We saw the tease in season 2 when Walt and Jesse lied to Jane and said that Walt was his father and stuff like that. So they do I do kind of think it's kind of nice that they do little teasers of that and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I was gonna say because there's a lot of people who think Walt never cared about Jesse at all and he was just manipulating him. I do think Walt was definitely in season 5 he just was so prideful and egotistical. It just his love for Jesse got buried underneath all that. But I do think Walt cared about him.
Yeah. You see,
Walt didn't care about Jesse at all. I feel is saying a bit too much.
Yeah, I feel too they forget in seasons 2 and 3, He really showed that. Obviously, we're going to talk about it when we review El Camino, but there's obviously a scene in El Camino where you can really see that that's not true. Obviously, when they have the scene in the restaurant together.
Yeah. So again,
and,
things got messed up later down the line, but like, I at least at this very moment, Walt did see Jesse as his son.
Yeah, I think as the relationship got closer and stuff, because I think I feel like if he didn't feel that way, in a weird sense, I don't think he would have let Jane die. In a sense.
Exactly, because I think Vince Gilligan even said like, it's up to interpretation on how you view why Walt did what he did.
Yeah.
But he sees it as like 25% like protecting himself and like getting Jane out of the way, but like mostly like looking out for Jesse.
Yeah.
And I think the interviewer even said like, oh, he thought it was the opposite. He thought it was mostly protecting himself and only a little bit protecting Jesse.
Yeah.
And Vince Gilligan was like, hey, well, it's in the eye of the beholder or whatever, which I think is really cool. I like it when a creator just like makes something and like lets you make your own like conclusions.
I know, yeah. So then the next morning, Walt wakes up, and I really like this scene because Walt doesn't want Walter Jr. remembering him like of how he was like all drugged up and stuff like that. So this is really cool because you finally get like a story about Walt's childhood, and you never really got that about Walt before.
Really, this is the only time we've ever heard about his childhood.
Yeah,
we heard a little bit about like what happened when he and his ex-girlfriend broke up. What was her name?
Gretchen.
Wife, the guy with the Dumbo ears.
Yeah. So he tells a story about how his father got like really sick, and he really doesn't have any like legit memories of his father. Like he knows stories about him, but the only real memory he has of his father is when he went in like on his deathbed pretty much, and he just remembers like the smells of like chemicals and stuff, and just like pretty much how sick he was.
The hospital smell, like the alcohol wipes and all that, like how they make it like there's disinfection stuff everywhere.
And he just remembers like, because obviously I forget. It's been a bit since I've seen it now, but I think he just remembers like, he was there and he knew he was there, but he couldn't recognize him because obviously he was like so sick and stuff.
Well, actually, I like what Walt says. He's like, and I don't even think he recognized me.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of messed up for a little kid, like to see their dad so sick that like they can't even recognize their own kid.
Yeah. So Walt says that's like the only real memory that he has of his father. And I think that really tells the story about like why Walt does what he does and everything. It tells a story like why he was so hesitant about getting the chemotherapy originally in season 1.
Yeah.
And
like as soon as Walt said that, I immediately thought back to that, his pillow talk speech.
Yep.
And in season 1 where he made that speech about why he doesn't want to, he wants to, he doesn't want to go through chemo and wants to live in his own house.
Yep.
Especially when he said, like that's how you would all remember me too, and that's the worst part.
Yeah. And it could tie into like why he refused to like take money from like Gretchen and Elliot. He didn't want to like, he doesn't want to do it
as like someone who needed that kind of help.
Yeah, and that could be that's the argument about why Walt became Eisenberg to begin with, because he wanted to leave like his family something.
Yeah. This is a really good moment just because it's like it ties into stuff from earlier, but also kind of like foreshadows everything else because Walt didn't want to be remembered as like this drunk or like a useless guy.
Yeah,
he gets remembered as something worse. Yeah, his kids think he murdered their uncle.
And they're gonna remember him as this big drug lord criminal. Literally,
last time Walt Jr. ever saw his dad, it was when Skylar and him got into that big fight.
Yep. And then the last thing that Walter Jr. says to his dad, which we'll probably talk about, is, "I want you to just die." So, and Holly isn't gonna have any memories of Walt. The only memory she's gonna have really is
what people tell about her.
Yep.
What people tell her about him, which probably not going to be very good things.
But that kind of goes full circle to Walt too. Like,
yeah, exactly. He didn't really remember his dad, and his dad probably she won't remember him.
Yep. So yeah, this is a cool scene. I feel like this scene kind of in a way now has to, now that we talk about it, has to be, if we make that video, when we make that video, has to be like the honorable mentions, because this calls back scenes from the past and is also foreshadowing in a sense too.
Yeah.
Like,
But I like what Walt Jr. says back to him about like how remembering how Walt was last night wasn't that bad,
yeah,
and him being fake and lying all the time for the past year was probably worse than what
yeah.
happened last night.
And I bet now he wishes he remembered him being fake and lying all the time. So there you go.
Yeah, when how Walt being high off pain meds and drunk is one of his best memories of him. That's probably not a good thing.
Yeah. Um, and then you know, also in this episode, Jesse's in Mexico. They have like a big helicopter that takes them there, and I really think this was a big scene for Jesse because he actually goes to the big super lab that's there, and this was really kind of a cool scene for Jesse because this was kind of like a first time like he really got to like take charge. Like everyone was kind of looking for him to be the one that like
and like the head scientist guy did not like Jesse at all. He didn't like this new guy coming in and telling him what to do.
I think it's kind of cool because the guy doesn't even like speak English like originally. He speaks Spanish, and then I think when he finally when Jesse finally pisses him off, he finally like talks in English. I think was really a cool scene.
Yeah, and I like how Jesse doesn't like back down from it when the guy says like I speak English.
Yeah.
Jesse isn't like oh okay. No, he's just like so what asshole means then.
Yeah, and this was a big scene for Jesse because this really got to like really show that he could do things on his own. Like,
damn it, that's two. All right, that's two things I got to look up now.
Yeah. Because he needs the phylocyanic acid, which is how they make the blue meth. And
I think the guy even says like they have it in like the state before that, so it's pretty clear that Jesse doesn't know how to do these things. Yeah. Like he doesn't know the science behind it. He's just following like the recipe.
Yeah, but I think it's really cool because Jesse's taking charge, saying, "Get me my phylocyanic acid," and we're also gonna scrub this place because it was pretty disgusting. Like, and I think it's really cool because
damn flies in that super lab.
Yeah, I can't have any of that. Can't have any of that contamination. So kind of funny. That's how Walt whooped over on Jesse because before he didn't care about any of that stuff, but now he does.
And there was a comment on a YouTube video for that scene, and someone's like saying like Jesse should have been like say my name.
Yeah,
because this really was like Jesse's like say my name moment.
Can you imagine how funny it would have been too if Walt was like, let's just say this was Walt and he saw a fly in there, like they would be cooking meth forever. Like,
oh yeah, no, they'd be like, they make Gus and Mike like help them catch the fly. That would have been great.
Oh, they would have been stuck in Mexico for like a while. Like,
yeah, the show would have been extended an extra season.
Yep. This would have lasted 3 episodes tops. Like,
I know, right? Damn. The final villain wasn't Gus; it was the fly.
Yep. But anyhow, so when Jesse finally cooks it, he gets it, not quite to the level of Walt's, but he gets it at like 99%, like 96%, I think it was.
Yeah. Walt cooks it normally like 99% or 98. Jesse got it to like 91 or something, like really close.
Yep. And I think that was a big moment for Jesse because it showed that he could like make Walt's product almost just as good as his.
Yeah, and I think the head scientist guy is even like he doesn't know anything about the actual science, and then like the head cartel guy is just like, yeah, but with all where did all your fancy doctorates get you?
Yeah.
So I like how the guy's boss is even like, yeah, this guy doesn't know shit about science, but so what? He cooks it better than you do.
Yeah. So this ends up becoming a problem because it's revealed Jesse belongs to the cartel, which means he's staying in Mexico now to help cook their product. And obviously, Jesse.
So basically, like the cartel's like, cool, you can cook it. You're staying here now.
Yeah. So I liked how they kind of teased it, like Gus doesn't look too concerned about it. So we're like, okay.
It makes you think like, oh, is Gus just gonna leave Jesse here?
Yeah. And then I think it's really cool. Literally the next scene we see them in Mexico is like Walt, Mike, and Jesse like all at the pool, where Gus is like partner, either business or
Oh, not Walt.
personal.
You said Walt.
I mean Jesse, Gus, and Mike. Where Gus is partner, personal or business partner. You can obviously that's theorized, but got shot and killed. So you knew something's gonna happen here, and
I know we're skipping ahead, but I like how he falls in the pool, or like he falls exactly like Max did.
Yep. And then what's the guy's name again? I forget. The guy that killed. Not the guy that killed, but the guy that like runs.
The guy who ordered the hit. Yeah, I don't remember his name off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Eladio, I think. No.
Yeah, I think it is. Eladio comes out and they have like some reconcile. And he brings like Salud, which I think is the name of the drink, which was the name of the episode. So I kind of, like I said, that's what I like about these TV shows. They will call the episode the name and kind of hints at like what the episode's going to be about. So
yeah, I think Death Note did that a few times,
yeah.
Which I liked.
Walking Dead does that a few times. And
Dexter, pretty sure.
Yeah. And he drinks the drink, which we obviously know is poison. But I kind of like it too, because then he wouldn't drink the drink until Gus himself drank the drink.
Yeah, which makes sense. So when Gus drinks it, he's like, okay, cool.
Yeah. So it makes me. So when I was watching this, it made me think, okay, maybe Gus didn't do anything because like I don't think he would have drinking the drink himself. But there's more to it. So Gus goes to the bathroom and throws up the drink so that way he doesn't get poisoned by it. And obviously, this is a callback. This scene gets called back on because Walt does kind of the same thing. When he's throwing up after his cancer relapse. I really think
I think he leans on a towel like Gus.
Yep. So it's
something like that. So just kind of shows that Walt adopts what the people he kills.
Yep.
Do.
So which is kind of cool because like Walt didn't even know about this scene when it happened too. So
I know, right? Like how did Walt know that that's how Gus throws up? It's a really specific detail.
Then everyone because like all the cartel drank it, so all the cartel gets poisoned, and like you alluded to it, that's the main leader of the cartel falls into the pool, and this is really cool because he fell into the exact same pool. I mean, the exact same place that Max did. So
yeah. Well, Max didn't fall into the pool, but yeah, he has like the same like blank face.
Yeah, and Gus finally got to get his revenge because he got to see him die. But then Gus still feels the effects because but
he threw most of it out, but the poison was in the system long enough to damage him a bit.
Yeah. So
I like how at one point when some of the cartel guys start dropping, some of the guards who didn't drink, Mike just walks up to them and starts strangling them, and Jesse's like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
Jesse didn't know what was going on.
And then this was a huge moment for Jesse because he had to kind of be like the one-man show because later on, when Mike and Jesse are trying to get Gus into the car, Mike gets shot by one of the guards and he gets beat up pretty good.
So Jesse has to take a gun and I think he shoots Hector's grandson.
Yeah. So Jesse.
By the way, it's kind of weird how every Salamanca we met so far is pretty important, and then just that one guy that Jesse randomly shot was super unimportant.
And I but this does get brought up later. So then Jesse, everyone drive away, they the next episode.
But, sorry, I do like how before they leave, more guys were coming.
Yeah.
But Gus is just the cartel is dead. Just take all their shit. You have nothing to gain from killing us.
Yeah, pretty much.
So I think that's kind of why no one really followed them. And all like the strippers or hookers, whatever they were, like the ladies that were there, they just start like looting the place and leaving.
Yeah.
So really, like a couple of guys try to shoot, try to kill Gus, Mike, and Jesse, but most of them were just like, well, we're not getting paid anymore, so fuck it.
Yeah. It was probably like people like you said, like that were close to like the Salamancas and such.
Yeah, like people actually related to the cartel, but yeah, like most of just the random guys were like, well, we're not getting paid anymore, so
off to Hawaii we go.
I know. Join Matt.
Join Nat, the business guy, and the two people from Bird Box we never found out happened to them.
Right? Yeah, I was remembering we made that joke a few times.
Actually, another person. I guess. Remember, I forget the names off the top of my head, but remember like those two people that like Samuel L. Jackson held hostage. We never found out what happened to them like at the end of that movie. So they were
right. So they're in Hawaii too.
Yep.
All right, so this is like a thing, right? Everything we review, there's got to be at least one person who goes to Hawaii. Like they just have to.
Yep. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that of like what we reviewed. No one in Red vs. Blue yet, so
Shane, no, Andy went to Hawaii.
Well, because he got blown up, so
he got blown to Hawaii. There you go.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, and Shane just rode off to Hawaii.
Yep. And then that's
it. He didn't die, so there you go.
Yeah. So we don't know. So he either died, went to Hawaii, or didn't just rode off and went somewhere. I don't know.
Just like sat under a tree forever.
Yep. Bled out and sat under a tree but didn't die.
Bled out but didn't die. All right.
Obviously, I'm joking because I keep thinking like he didn't die. So, all right. So, but continuing though, it leads to like the opening of the next episode when Jesse, Gus, and
Michael all driving. Little like shack type thing that's like a medical facility, or like not really like a facility, but it's like Gus had these. I'm sorry, you were like breaking up. I'll just start over. So like Gus apparently had a couple like doctors on hand.
Yep.
To like in like this little like shack type area. Because like I think Gus knew he was probably gonna have to drink the poison.
Yep.
So we had these guys on standby. It's definitely pointed out by like Jesse like sees like a bunch of like, like a cabinet filled with like blood. Yeah. The doctor's like, you're like O negative or like something, like he named Jesse's blood type. Yeah. Jesse didn't even know his own blood type.
So it showed like
So Gus pretty much had it planned out. Like, okay, these guys like have all of our medical records.
Yep.
And the guy even knew Jesse was like allergic to like some type of medication.
Yep. And then another cool thing is when the guys originally come out, they don't even care enough to like save Mike. They want to save Gus, obviously, because he pays the bills. So it showed like how high up Gus really was and stuff like
Jesse's
that.
the one who has to like limp Mike out of the car and like put him on a bed and be like, "Hey, help him." Yeah. And the guy's like, "This guy signs my paychecks. I don't care."
Yeah.
They do end up helping Mike, obviously, but like it kind of makes sense because Gus was kind of poisoned.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he would be like a higher priority.
Yeah.
Like you can just stop the bleeding for Mike and like come back to him.
Yeah, and obviously this is very significant because Mike gets left in Mexico, and it's very significant because it obviously helped Walt and Jesse and stuff be able to kill Gus without Mike being there. So.
Right, like if Mike wasn't benched, then that would kind of be a whole thing.
Yeah, that could be a what if. What if Mike didn't get benched?
Yeah, exactly. What if Mike didn't go to Hawaii while he was in Mexico?
Yeah. So then, Gus is revealing to Jesse then, because of, how well he did in Mexico, he's able to run the lab by himself. And I really like it because Jesse's still telling Gus, like, no, you're not going to kill, Walt. So it shows, like, even though they're not on good terms, he still doesn't, kind of cares about Walt enough to not have him die.
Yeah. And I do like how, like, they flew to Mexico, but Gus is like, yeah, going to Mexico is easier than going to America. So we're gonna have to walk, like 6 miles, and then like hitch a ride back.
And it's sort of much of a badass Gus was, because after getting poisoned, he walked freaking 6 miles.
I
Like,
know Jesse was even like, "Are you gonna be like okay?" And Gus is like, I'll be fine."
yeah. So then, meanwhile, back in America,
America.
um, Hank, is, Walter still investigating. He goes to like the main place where they have all the meetings and stuff, the main, office, but since they cleared the place out, nothing's there. So he's taking Hank out on another investigation, but they take a turn. Things take a turn for the worse, quite literally and figuratively, because Hank pretty much is about to find the super lab, and Walt has to think quick on his feet and pretty much drive into traffic and crash his car, so that way Hank doesn't see it. And I remember I remember on a video thinking back, we felt bad for Walt, because we were like, poor Walt, he's getting the shit kicked out of him, and we were like, I was sitting here thinking, what are we thinking? Like, Hank had it so much worse. He's got his neck broken from this, and he was in a wheelchair. Like,
I know, right? Like, poor Hank.
Yeah, like, no.
I can't catch a break.
Yeah.
And I like how Hank is like, I like how Walt's like, oh yeah, I couldn't see the guy coming. And then Hank is even like, no, I could see him coming.
Yeah.
Like, you just freaking turned into him.
And then
but, Hank doesn't suspect it still, because it's Walt.
I think it's cool though, because this scene gets brought up again, when Hank, like, in the garage. So, because he mentions, like, Walt drove into traffic to prevent him to see the laundry. And pretty much,
imagine how that sounds out of context. My brother-in-law drove into traffic to prevent me from seeing a laundromat.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that doesn't go over well. But pretty much then after this, Walt's in some pretty deep shit, because, Gus is obviously upset that he was unable.
Hank almost found out, what was, almost went to the laundromat.
Yeah. So,
Jesse's pretty pissed too, later on when Walt asks him for help.
Yeah. I think he thinks Walt did this deliberately. And Walt finds out that, while he's been, inactive, someone else has been cooking, his meth. So he realizes that it's Jesse. And Walt doesn't think this is a good thing, because now Gus is seeing that,
he doesn't need Walt.
Yeah. So, and I like it too, because it showed they were still on bad terms. We should mention, because this comes up, we do see Andrea and Brock again. They like do a random scene where we find out, so that way they can pay for their house. Like, Saul's sending them checks, sending them money that for Jesse, and they kind of reconcile. And I think everyone was left to think, oh, that's just a random scene, but they showed them again, obviously for a specific reason. So
yeah, I think it's just because like to show Jesse and them is like still close with them and still cares about them.
Yeah, and then Walt gets tased and he gets taken out to the desert by Tyrus and Gus. Why don't you talk about this scene?
So Walt, Walt, after Jesse and Walt get into a fight on the lawn, not like an actual fight. Jesse kind of like pushes him and just like, you know what? I'm pissed at you. Don't come near me.
Yep.
Also, that scene's important because Walt sees Brock.
Yep.
And that gets brought up later. That's probably what puts the idea in Walt's head.
I know, yeah, right here.
Yeah, so Tyra shows up behind Walt at Jesse's house, tases him. Walt wakes up in the desert then in the next morning, and Gus is like, "You're fired. I'm gonna go kill your brother-in-law. If you get in the way, I will." And then Walt's like, "You'll what?
Yeah.
Kill me? If you could have killed me, you would have done it already. The only reason I'm still alive is because Jesse won't let you kill me." And I like how Gus even like admits that's true. He's like, "Yeah, but that's only for now."
Yeah. So then,
I think the next thing Gus says pretty much proves. Not only did it pretty much seal Gus's fate.
Yep.
Pretty much proves that Gus was the one who was the one who killed Adriana's, or what's her name, Jesse's girlfriend.
Andrea's.
Andrea, Gus is pretty much the one who ordered the hit on Adria's brother.
Yep.
He says, "I will kill your wife. I will kill your son. I will kill your infant daughter."
Yep.
So, and that's also pretty much the thing that just made Walt 100% sure that he was gonna kill Gus.
Yep. Well, I had to kill Gus.
Yeah, like I'm just saying that was like that extra motivation.
Yep. So then Walt goes to Saul's office freaking out, and he wants the number of that mystery man that can make people disappear. And Saul,
you mentioned that the scene before you can talk about this.
Yeah, Saul gives it to him, and this is really cool, like I said, because I think it's because of this scene they went back and filmed the reveal of that there actually was a mystery guy out there. Because I just think how different this scene would be if that scene was not filmed, because it just seemed we would all be like, yeah. So Walt thinks he has the money. He's just going to be able to send him and his family. He wants Saul to to call the DEA, pretending to be someone else, saying that someone put a hit out on, that the cartel has a hit out on Hank, so that way Hank will be protected. And everything looks like it's gonna go right. However, there's been something else that's going on, and I feel like we waited this long to talk. We got to talk about it. I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it for you, so that way I don't have to put you through that suffering.
Thank you. I still have to. We still have to talk. We still have to stop to listen to you talk about it. But you know what? That's suffering enough.
Yeah. So meanwhile, as all this the stuff in Mexico,
all this cool shit's happening.
Like I said, like we said before, Breaking Bad can't be a perfect show, so they have to write this storyline in there. Ted and Skyler meet up again. This is the first they've seen each other since season 3. And like I said, Ted was the one who knocked, as we talked about when we did the season 2 review. So we find out that Ted pretty much making all these fake accounts and stealing money from the IRS caught up to him, because the IRS are basically I think threatening his business. They're gonna put him out of business, and he could possibly go to jail. Now this is a bad
thing for criminals, apparently.
Yeah, because this is a bad thing for Skylar, because since she was a part of this and she worked for the company when all this was going on, they could possibly put a tap on her phones, and obviously this is a bad thing because she's pretty much at least on paper married to a criminal, and Skylar just pretends that Ted to be a dumb blonde, that Ted hired her because she was hot, so she kind of messed up all these accounts. So this closes the investigation, but Ted has to pay a lot of money. I think it's $6,000 or something like that. To make up
more than that, right? Because didn't Skylar give them him half of Walt's money?
It's something like that. I'm just trying.
I'm saying $6,000. I'm like, that's I'm a poor college student. I wouldn't be too upset paying that.
Yeah, it's so it's in the millions. It's millions of dollars, pretty much. Or
it's a good couple grand. It's 500,000 or something. It's something nuts.
And Skylar has Saul be a lawyer. Obviously he is a lawyer, but she sends Saul the money, and he pretends that a family member just passed away that Ted never heard of,
his great aunt or something,
and she left him all this money. We find out that Ted didn't use the money to pay off the IRS. He bought a new sports car.
Because he's a fucking idiot or something. They never explain why he did that.
Yeah.
And when Skylar's trying to get him to do it, and she's like, "We will go to jail," and Ted's like, "We won't go to jail."
Yeah.
I'm like, motherfucker, how are you a functioning adult?
I know. And he tries to get the business going again, too, which that's logical, I guess, because a lot of people are going to be out of work, but it's like, you should kind of take care. I feel like this is more important to be taken care of than getting your business going again.
Right.
Because I have a feeling that the IRS would be like, wait, you're doing your business again, and you're not paying these taxes. What's going to stop you from doing this again? Like,
I know, right?
It's just, what are you doing? So this forces Ted to have to, or this forces Skylar to have to say, like, no, I was the one that sent you that money, and she basically off camera like tells Ted like about Walter's gambling issue.
She doesn't,
So
I don't
then,
think she says it off camera. I'm pretty sure she like goes to his house and tells him.
well, I mean, she goes to his house, but we don't actually like see her like tell him on camera. And then Ted doesn't want to take all this money from her, so he writes her a check, which is even stupider because it makes like Skylar look like bad, because why does Skylar now getting all this money from Ted for no reason? So it's like, and Skylar thinks that this is like blackmail, but Ted's just trying to do the right thing, and
quote unquote right thing.
yeah, and then I think it's also funny too because he doesn't even like pay her back like the money that he used to spend for the calls, so it's like what's going on here, and then pretty much Ted forces Skylar's hand, so she basically has Saul hire, use his two best hitman, Huel and I forget the other guy's name, but it was the guy that pretended to be the cause.
Huel and the Irish looking guy.
Yep. To go over there, they force him to write the check, and they're just gonna stay there until like the check goes through the system. But actually, this, even though like the crawl space scene, but this scene also really makes up for the storyline. Ted tries to like run away, and
and like the guys don't even do anything. Like he just runs away and they like look at him.
Yeah.
He trips on a rug and like smashes his head into something.
I kind of like it because they kind of allude to it earlier because he trips on it like when he goes to answer the door like for Skylar. So it was kind of like a nice teaser. But it was
just something so dumb, like.
Another thing that that made this funny is there's a scene like where the Irish guy is saying, how mad are you, Hugh? And he just says like reasonably or something like that. Like it was pretty funny. Like
yeah, those two are good good duo. I would watch a spin-off with them.
Yeah.
Since we're we should mention this. Before Gus and Jesse get back to Albuquerque, they make a stop at a retirement home.
Yep.
Where Gus meets Hector. He shows him like Don Eladio's like necklace.
Yep.
And he starts listing off all the other Dons and high cartel people. And he's just like, they're all dead. And also your grandson died as well. So you were the last of the cartel. You were the last of the Salamanca. They all die with you. And he's just saying like, you're pathetic. You're a sad old man. You can't even do anything.
Yeah.
And when Jesse walks into the room, Gus is like, you see him? You met him before. You could have killed him back then with Tuco, but you didn't. And now your other grandson.
That's cool. Yeah. They do a deleted scene too. It's just a little thing where obviously they cut this, but what Jesse's like asking Gus like what you have against this guy, and Gus says he killed someone important to me. So.
Oh, that's a deleted scene because I know Saul mentions that conversation to Walt in the last episode.
Yeah, they do it it's a deleted scene. So
I didn't know that. That's
they actually but obviously they cut it because time restraints probably.
But yeah, and it just kind of shows like how messed up Gus is. Like he killed every member of the cartel except Hector just to make him suffer.
Yeah, that was good.
And we see a lot of this in Better Call Saul. Gus goes out of his way to just torment Hector.
I can't wait to see that too.
Yeah, I won't say anything specific, but yeah, you'll get a kick out of it. Just like we get the infamous like "look at me, Hector" thing.
Yep.
And this is just really showing like this Gus downfall.
Yep. Think about it. That could be a what if. What if Gus didn't bring Jesse to this retirement home? Like.
Yeah, I know, right?
Because but then
I mean, he brought Jesse just to like brag,
Yeah.
Because he knew that would be like an extra thing just to torment them over.
So then, after all of this, though, since we found out about this iOS thing, we're cutting back to back to the end of episode 11. Walt's in a huge rush. He goes into the crawl space, and he's looking for his money, but he doesn't have enough money to pay the disappearer. So, this is when Walt.
And this is one of the best scenes in Breaking Bad.
Yeah, talk about it.
Oh yeah, sure. Skyler's in the call. I mean, Walter's in the crawl space, like freaking out, trying to find, search for all the money. Skyler comes in, he's like, "What was your call about? Like, what happened?" And Walt's just like, "Where's the money? Where's the money?"
Yep.
And Skyler's just like, she doesn't want to tell him, but she's like, "I had to give it half of it to Ted."
Yeah.
And Walt just he grabs his head for it, and like Skyler's trying to explain it herself, and he's like not even listening. He screams at the top of his lungs, and then he just starts laughing.
And we've said this in videos. This is the death of Walter White. Like
it
this
really
is.
At least for a while, this is where Walter just loses it. He's gone. It's Heisenberg now,
which is really cool. I
feel
really
like this was the last bit where Walter's just like, "I'm done getting pushed around,"
Yeah. So then it leads to the next two episodes, End Times and Face Off.
Oh, and by the way, when Walt went to go see Saul, he didn't just get the disappearers number. He also had Saul call the DEA and say like the cartel's like threatening to kill Hank.
Yeah. So then Marie calls Skyler and tells him about it.
Yeah, so that's a way to, because like Walt's plan was originally get Skyler and the kids and leave and like have Hank be protected.
Yep.
But that's changed obviously now.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Ted. Like I said, Ted was the one. Like we said before, Ted was the one who knocked. So
he really was. He just fucked everything up.
Yeah. So then, Ted's the new Near for us now, I think.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, he was before Near, so really, if you think about it, Near is the new Ted.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you think about it too, but Ted doesn't piss me off as much because at least we got something cool out of it. Like we didn't get anything cool really out of like Neo's. I mean, I guess Light's death, but like
it wasn't. Yeah, the I Am Hero thing.
Yeah, but wow. So maybe Ted. I feel like
honestly, Ted. Like, the thing about this is like we got a lot of cool stuff after the fact with Ted. Like the best parts of like the finale of Death Note. The worst parts of those were the Near moments,
Yeah. So
when Kira gives like this big speech and Near's just like, "Nah," I'm like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
Like, oh God, yeah. So.
And Ted wasn't
Near's worse than Ted.
Like Ted wasn't like he was like more of a Near was supposed to be like a main character. Ted was more of a minor character, so it was like
Ted was more minor, so it's like he's more bearable. He's still annoying as shit, but he's more bearable. Near is like supposed to be the next L, and I hate him.
Yeah, we both do.
Yeah,
but anyhow,
I don't. Not a lot of Death Note fans like Near.
But this leads to the next two episodes, End Times and Face Off. This is a cool fact. These episodes were because they were running so low on time to get these episodes filmed. They had to film these episodes they only have a certain number of days to film it. It's I think a week or something. So they had to film End Times and Face Off kind of at the same time with each other.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know that.
Which kind of makes sense because if you think about it, these are really two big one big episode pretty much. So I think it kind of worked out that there was these two episodes. One episode Vince Gilligan himself directed, and one End Times he didn't even write. He just directed it. So I think that's pretty cool too. Pretty much.
And Face Off, I think we both agree is in our top 5 episodes of Breaking Bad.
Yeah. End Times is all about setting up Face Off, but there's still some awesome stuff. It's probably one of the best setup episodes that you'll ever see in your entire life.
Yeah, it's really good.
And Walt sends Skyler and the kids to Hank's so that way they'll be protected by the DEA. But Walt himself doesn't go there because pretty much if he goes there, there's no way they can't be protected. Because because you knew Gus would go out of his way to make sure that he would get to Walt. And so Walt stays behind. And you see some really cool scenes out of this. I think it's kind of cool, like Hank just kind of brushing this off, like he doesn't really think it's like that big of a deal. Because he thinks it's just some prank. Because I have a feeling that happens a lot with like cops and stuff, where like someone will prank and say, "Hey, I'm gonna put a hit out on you." So, I think that's what Hank probably thinks it is.
Yeah.
And Marie's actually like acting logical, like her husband's being threatened. And
well, she's a little like hysterical. She's like wants Skylar and the kids over there because like she wants them to be safe too.
Yeah.
But she's like reasonably like freaked out.
Yeah. Like she freaks out when Walt doesn't go there. And throughout the whole episode, like Hank sends Gomez, your favorite, absolute favorite.
R.I.P. Gomez.
You miss him.
My boy.
To do a stakeout, at the laundromat, which is kind of cool. Like a cool hidden fact about the laundromat, all like the employees that you see like in the background are actually like legit employees of the place.
I didn't know that. That's actually cool.
So the only one that like isn't like the manager that he talks to is obviously like an actor. So
yeah.
But he basically does a stakeout of the place, and Gus tries to use this for like a reason, for like to get Jesse's consent to kill Walt because this could just keep happening. And I like this too because Jesse actually goes to Saul's place and he gets like patted down. And I think it's really cool because this scene gets used later. Then they allude to the fact that like Walt poisoned Brock because we see Walt like spinning his gun around and you like see like the lily of the valley like out of focus. So it's kind of like the teasing it, but it's not like you wouldn't if you just looked at that plant and say, oh, that's how Walt, that's what Walt does, then you could like tell the future because there's but I still think it's like a cool way they hinted at it. Then it leads to the next scene with like Jesse going to his house and he gets a phone call. Why don't you say what that phone call is?
So Jesse gets a phone call from I can never pronounce her name.
Andrea.
I still can't do it. Adria.
Come on, don't be like me with Ozymandias. You can do this.
Andrea. That's her name. Andrea.
Yeah.
Andrea calls Jesse, freaking out, saying that Brock is in the hospital. Like something happened to him. So Jesse rushes on over, and he's really worried, but because he's like in like a critical condition. He's not really allowed to go back there with them because he's not the father. So he says he'll wait out there. He goes out for a smoke, and then he looks in his cigarette. Oh no, wait, no. This happens after Jesse gets called in by Saul.
Yeah, I already talked about that. Yeah.
Oh, did you? Sorry.
Yeah.
And then Jesse is freaking out. He empties his whole cigarette box and looks through it, and the Rison's gone. He flips out. I love how he just rushes on in.
Yeah.
I think it's one long shot, and I really like that.
Yeah.
There's kind of a shot like that later on in Red vs. Blue. I don't know. I like that one long shot. It just makes it more intense for moments like that.
Yeah.
And where you run with the character, and he's freaking out, saying have the doctors check for ricin, and he he dips.
Yeah.
And
that's not suspicious. That's not suspicious at all. By the way,
I know, right? The cops show up later, and they're talk about ricin poisoning. This very rare poison, and then you just leave.
Yeah.
And this whole episode, Walt is hanging around the house,
Yeah.
Like he barricaded the door and he's like holding a gun around, and he's like depressed. Like he knows like if someone shows up, like he's dead.
Yeah.
But he's just like gonna make like one last stand. Oh, but I like the thing he says to Skylar before they leave to go to Marie's house, where he's like I've made choices that I will face the consequences of, and those consequences they're coming.
I feel like too you can tie that scene in, because I think you think like Walt's saying this like he's the victim, but then when you find out later like how they poison Block and stuff and Gus dying, like I feel like he was saying the consequences weren't for him, they were for some other people, like.
Yeah, but also I feel like he meant like Jesse is his consequences and he's coming for him.
Yep.
Yeah, so but like Walt was like still kind of like just like somber this whole episode, which was kind of nice to see. And I like how he sticks around the house because, well, one, it's part of his plan to have Jesse like come and attack him, but also like in case Jesse doesn't come, it's like if he's with his family, then like they're gonna be in danger.
Yep. Just imagine if Jesse didn't pick up his phone when Andrea called too. That would have put the whole plan in.
I know, right? That would have sucked. So Jesse, so Jesse comes over to Walt's house, and Walt's like, "Okay, good, you're here. I've been waiting all day for Gus's men to come kill me." And Jesse points a gun at Walt. And Walt's like, "Look, if this is about the me calling the DA on the laundromat, like I didn't have a choice. They were gonna kill Hank."
Yeah.
And Jesse's like freaking out, like, "You poisoned Brock," and Jesse pretty much gets what happens word for word. Saul called me, and all of a sudden, and his big guy patted me down. "You saw Brock the other night, and you looked right at him." Like we were the only ones who knew about the ricin. And then, but Walt's like so convincing. Like everything he says pretty much makes sense.
Yeah.
He was right about Gus having no problems killing children. Gus has been wanting to put a divide in between them and have Jesse give the okay to kill Walt. This is the best way to do it if Jesse's the one who kills Walt himself.
Yep.
Like, considering everything Gus has done before, it pretty much makes sense what Walt's saying.
And also, too, you forget in one that we joke about, they talk about the ricin, and, Jesse, that's like what makes Jesse think that it was Walt, because they were the only ones that knew about it, but Walt even says, like, hey, Gus has cameras everywhere, and he's watched our every move. He clearly had to have known about the ricin, which is what we all thought, but I guess he didn't.
Yeah, I know, right? I guess, yeah. And then I think the thing that really tipped it over was when Jesse, like, has a gun right to his head, and Walt's like, "If you really think I could poison a child, then do it."
Yeah.
And this is a parallel to season 5 finale, and I love it.
Yeah.
Because, Walt does the exact same thing when Jesse has a gun pointed to his head. Do it.
I like to when just a little thing like after like Jesse releases the gun, like the shape of like the point of the gun's like on Walt's head. I think
it's like when you like press something against your hand, like the mark is there for a little while.
Yep. And Jesse's just gonna go kill Gus. And, basically this brings the team back together, which was so cool to, like, see them working together again.
Yeah, I like how Walt's like, "Gus will see you coming." And then Jesse's like, "I'm doing this with or without you." And Walt's like, "Let me help then."
Yeah.
And we get the team back together. Only problem I have with this finale is, like, the team's back together for, like, 10 minutes. And then Jesse's taken out of the finale.
Yeah. That's, like, one big issue I think we said we had with... I think that was like one issue we had with the finale and also the end of the series. Like Jesse didn't, even though Jesse got the time to shine like towards the end of season 5. Obviously El Camino makes up for it, but like Jesse really didn't get like a lot of shine like towards the end of the show.
Yeah, really, like he just got saved by Walt towards the end, and in this season like they finally work together, and then Jesse gets like arrested and like then captured by Gus's goons.
Yeah, but
Jesse gets kidnapped a lot. You ever notice that?
Yeah. He gets kidnapped by Tuco. He gets kidnapped by...
Hell, in this season finale alone, he gets arrested, and as soon as he gets out of the police department, he gets kidnapped.
Yeah. But anyhow, he He nearly got kidnapped in El Camino, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
And then Jesse's just refusing to go into work because he's so upset about the child, and Gus shows up and is
Well,
like,
at first I like how Tyrus shows up and he's like, "Get to work," and
Yeah.
Jesse's like, "No." I like how Tyrus is kind of dumb. He just like picks Jesse up and like tries to carry him out,
yeah,
and I'm like, "What do you expect to happen?" Like Jesse like pushes him and he's like, "I don't know this guy. Get away from me."
yeah,
And I like how they're dressed in the same clothes too. It's kind of funny.
that was funny. So then he sends Gus, and Gus says, I'm running a business here. We can't we can't just take a day off work. And then Jesse reveals to Gus that the boy's sick. And what a coincidence that it was that Gus was a member of the board of that hospital too. Like, what a coincidence that was.
To be fair,
like,
Gus is pretty rich, so he's probably got a hand in everything,
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool though. So he
probably owns, Hank's house.
Yeah, and Hank doesn't even know it.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, imagine he owns. Imagine he owns Walt's house, and then Walt gets like evicted from his house, and he doesn't know why.
Yeah, I know, right? Gus just like buys random shit to fuck with people.
Yeah.
Like he just buys like I don't know. He starts hanging out with Skinny Pete and Badger just cause.
Yeah. Honestly, if you think about it too, Gus is an awesome character, but you could do some awesome comedic stuff with Gus too. Like, that's how good his character is.
And his actor's super funny. Like in real life, his actor's like super funny.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I was just watching The Mandalorian. Off topic, I know, but I was surprised when Gus's actor showed up in like the last episode. I was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So, is that a comedy or?
No, it's a Star Wars show.
Oh.
So hey, if we ever watch the Star Wars movies, we'll review that maybe one day. I don't know.
So then, it's so crazy too. Like Gusito Espinosa, I think that's how you say the actor's name. It's just crazy. Like, we've talked about it before. Like, him outside of Breaking Bad's like a completely different person.
I know, right? It's like crazy how different they are.
Yeah. Like, even more different than like Bryan Cranston and Walt, because they're kind of even though Walt acts serious, they basically kind of act the same somewhat.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so Jesse reveals to Gus though that Brock was poisoned. So then Gus says, okay, you could just go deal with that, because the bats went bad anyways. So he's like, we'll just try it again some other time or something like that. I don't think that's what he said, because that doesn't sound like something like Gus would say. No, let's just try it again some other day. Like, that doesn't sound like. Anyhow, we made a joke about this scene because Gus is walking to his car, and Walt, we find out, was making a bomb. And actually, a cool thing too is they actually were gonna film a scene where it showed Walt and Jesse like planning out making the bomb, but they ran out of time, so they had to scrap it.
That would have been cool though. I feel like that would have like helped a little bit with the whole Jesse problem we had the finale.
Yeah, but time is thanks a lot.
I get it, but it sucks.
Yeah. But it just kind of showed how messed up like Walt was getting, that he was willing to blow somebody up because in season 1
in a hospital parking lot.
Yeah, in season 1 he wouldn't even. It took him like 3 episodes to kill Crazy 8. And then Gus is about to walk to his car, and
yeah, and then he suddenly gets like a sixth sense. They even joke about that in the next episode, but
And we joked about it originally because obviously we couldn't talk about what happened because I didn't know and AJ didn't want to spoil it. How would Gus know like something's off? Like, he just walks away, but obviously Jesse revealing, and I like too because if you watch like the recaps and like them talk about it, even like Gusito Espinosa says that too, like. Jesse saying that Brock was poisoned triggered something. So he knew.
Yeah, he's like, something doesn't add up,
Yeah.
Because now we know in hindsight that Gus wasn't the one who poisoned Brock, so
yeah,
it kind of makes sense that he'd be like, wait, what happened here?
Yep.
And he's like, so I guess he just walked home,
I mean, like he walked, like 6 miles. So after
I guess so. It just seems funny, like Gus, like this proper, millionaire business guy just walks home, and he leaves his car in the hospital.
Yep. Can you imagine too, like what Tyrus and stuff was saying, like, where you going? Like, I don't know, someone was gonna bomb me, so I gotta leave. Like,
yeah, Plot armor kicked in. Gotta go. Bye.
Yep. So then,
And I like how just that. I mean, this scene in the when Gus like walks into the sniper fire line,
yeah.
really just makes Gus seem invincible.
Oh yeah, definitely.
There's really only 3 scenes in this whole show that makes you seem like Gus is a human being, and not an invincible god.
I know, yeah.
The first one is his backstory with when Max died. Second one is when he poisoned himself. So really, even then, that's only like half of one.
I would say like season, like not the whole thing, but like season 2, because we don't even know who he is yet, so we don't really know he's this invincible god. So
yeah, and 3 is obviously his death. Those are really the only 3 moments where it's like Gus is like outwardly affected by anything.
Yeah, because you can't even say season 2 because it's his introduction. So
and like you could say, oh, when Gale died, yeah, that messed with Gus's plans, but like. Yeah. When it happened, he just walked in super casual, slit a guy's throat, told Walt and Jesse to get to work, and left.
I mean, if you think about it too, even his introduction, he's kind of invincible because it took like Walt literally had to like point him out himself. He wouldn't even meet with Walt himself. Like we had to like literally.
It's like hiding in plain sight. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, really, gosh, this show does a really good job. Just making Gus seem like an invincible monster,
Yeah. So then,
also like he's one of the best villains in TV,
Yeah.
Like I like Jack and his gang; they're cool, but like Gus is just like a way better villain.
Yeah. And then, Walt has to disarm the bomb, and obviously there's a funny joke where he walks into the hospital and Jesse's just like, "Did you really just put a bomb into a hospital?"
And
which since this is
Yeah, Walt's like, what, was I supposed to just leave it on his car?
Yeah. Which is cool because I talked about it too. If this happened in 2013, after the Boston bombing and everything, this scene wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But this is when Jesse gets arrested. One of the characters that you see from this is in Walking Dead, one of the cops. So I had already seen him in Walking Dead, and I gotta say, he's so much better here than he was in The Walking Dead, because he just acted like such a badass. Even though, and the cops are trying to get Jesse to reveal like how he knew about the ricin, and he basically just says, "I'm not talking until my lawyer Saul Goodman comes here." So there you go. And then they're pretty much though on they're walking on eggshells, walking on ice, pretty much, because they only have one final chance, really, to get Gus. If they don't, then that's it. They're pretty much good as dead. Walt, I really think, I'm trying to remember what happens first. I think Walt goes to Saul's office first.
No, Walt meets Saul like in like a desert.
Yeah, but I remember he goes to his office. So, but like we find out like Saul like went on the run because he's afraid of his life, because since he's associated with Jesse and Walt, he's afraid. Like he basically goes into hiding.
Yeah, well, he was like laying low for a little while, probably. I don't think he was gonna go on like the run.
Yeah. So he has to get like money to meet up with Saul, and he goes to his house, and this really kind of showed like how messed up Walt was in a way. Like he calls his neighbor, well, I think I might have this wrong because it's been a bit since I've seen it. I think in real life it's revealed that it's Bryan Cranston's actual wife in real life.
Really, I didn't know that.
Don't quote me on it though, because I might have that wrong. But I think it is.
I remember that one scene in season 2 where or season 3, where Bryan Cranston's like daughter was in the high school thing.
Yeah. So I think this was the same case here.
Yeah, so that's pretty.
And he has her go in there, pretty much makes up a lie that like Walter Jr. left like a burner on, so that way like the hitman would leave. He quickly goes in there. I even loved who he says his name, but that was a close call. He grabbed his money real quick and takes off. And then, Jesse meets up with Saul, and
Yeah, well, Saul
you know,
more like Saul meets up with him, because Jesse's in like an interrogation room.
yeah. So this is Jesse being this interrogation room allowed him to give Saul the information that he needed, and Saul reveals to Jesse that like Gus goes to this retirement home, and he reveals like the past, kind of not really, but like that Hector and Gus know each other, and he realizes that they're enemies. And Walt's worried though, because this ties in, because he can't just wait around and hope that Gus just goes to this retirement home, because like I said, he's walking on eggshells pretty much. Um, which is why I think we have to explain the plan that he comes up with. So, I really like the scene where, Walt and Hector, goes in there, and Walt gives an opportunity for Hector at revenge. And why don't you talk about this whole plan that Walt comes up with Hector?
So Walt meets up with Hector at the retirement home, and Hector obviously hates Walt, for quote unquote betraying Tuco.
Yeah.
But Walt's like, I know you hate me, but you hate Gus even more. So let's team up. So Walt is gonna give Hector a bomb attached to his chair, and it'll rig it so when Hector just rings his bell a bunch, it'll ignite the bomb.
Yeah.
And I guess Hector's just cool with suicide bombing to kill Gus.
I think so, because I think he hates Gus like so much that I think he's willing to I mean, I think it makes sense. He's willing to kill himself.
Yeah, it makes sense. And plus, I mean, like he's like, what has he got at this point? Gus is kind of right. Like he doesn't really have anything at this point.
Yeah, he's
nothing to lose.
I mean, what's he gonna do? Sit in a retirement home and be, cared for like the rest of his life?
Yeah, and be like miserable.
Yeah.
Especially when you see Better Call Saul, I feel like Hector would be like jump at the opportunity just to get the hell out of there.
Yeah. So then what happens is like I said, they have to get Gus to even go there to begin with. So we find out.
They have Hector want to talk with the DA. Like he communicates with like a nurse by like having she like goes like A, B, C, and he rings the bell when to like spell out a sentence.
It's like a bingo code, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. So and obviously like the DA knows that he was like former cartel.
Yep.
So they have Hector set up a meeting with Hank, or want to talk to Hank.
Yep.
And Gus obviously doesn't know what this is about. He just hears that Hector wanted to talk with Hank. So Hector's like, Tyrus is like, we gotta like take him out. Like if he starts talking to the DEA, and so Gus is like, I'll do this. But when we actually see what's up?
And then we actually see the conversation. We find out like Hector didn't say anything. Like
he was just like FUCK, space. Just like telling Hank to go fuck himself. Because obviously he hates Hank too, because Hank killed Tuco.
Yeah.
Hector hates a lot of people in the show. And
now Jesse. Jesse's been added to the list.
He hates Walt, he hates Hank, he hates Jesse, he hates Gus, he hates everyone.
Yep. That one guy that like messed up his meal probably hates him too.
Probably hates him, yep.
So so yeah, Gus go and then meanwhile this is when like that kidnapping that kidnapping scene happens because Jesse gets let go. So I think then we were thinking because we were wondering like if the license didn't poison him, what did? I don't think we were meant to believe that it was Walt. I guess we were meant to believe like Gus poisoned him some other way. But then then Jesse gets kidnapped and he's basically at this point I think he was basically going to be forced to like be a slave for them, because he was all handcuffed and in hindsight this is kind of funny because obviously
that's what happens to him.
Yeah. So then
which makes sense, if like their boss is suddenly dead, it's like, well, we got this guy who can basically shit gold for us, we'll keep him as a slave and make him work for us.
Even though they didn't know Gus was gonna die, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I think at that point they knew, didn't they?
No, because he got kidnapped before Gus died.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
Um,
so they're probably gonna just make him work as a meth slave.
so we gotta talk about it. The final moments of Gus before his death is
Yeah, it's
just
a pretty big moment. You can talk about it.
um. So I'll talk about the scene, and then I'll talk about like there's this whole special that they do for it, like talk about the what went into doing it. So Gus is at his car, ready to walk to his death. I mean, ready to go walk in there and kill Hector.
Well, he is ready to walk to his death.
I know I messed up though. And I just love it. It's like the music that plays just really fit with like that theme of Gus. And I think something's gonna happen, but you don't really know what it is because you don't know that's one thing we didn't say. We don't know the plan going into this. So um Gus walks in there and he's ready to poison Hector. And I really like this because every time they've met, Hector has not looked at Gus like since these visits. And he hasn't looked him into his eyes.
Yeah, which is the
Obviously,
whole like "look at me, Hector" thing.
yeah, because obviously, I think you could take each perspective. I think originally it was because I think he kind of like maybe was starting to feel like ashamed of like the monster he kind of created in a way. Because if he didn't kill Max, Gus wouldn't be who he is. But then obviously too, I think it's because he's so he hates Gus so much because he's killed like the entire cartel and his entire family. So I feel like it's either
I feel like it's a
one of
mix
those
of both.
yeah, it's one of them or a mix of both.
That's why it's like when Hector does look at Gus, he's got like that sad look on his face at first,
Yeah,
and then he's
and
like he just like turns into like a rage face. So I feel like it's a mix of those emotions.
then he starts winning his bell, and then
Well,
I love
before
it too
that,
because
Gus's face. Want to talk about that? Just how he's like when Hector first looks at him.
he's like shocked that he looks at him at first.
Which is
And I
kind of
think
nice, that like he's like Gus is normally like so stone faced. It's like weird to see him like so shocked.
yeah, and then when he's winning his bell, Gus sees the bomb, but the explosion happens, and I think it's cool because we see Gus walk out. We don't see his face at all, and we don't realize like that. We think that he survived, and we're like, no, he did not survive. Because also too, I was like, when you watch it on Netflix and stuff, there's like 13 minutes left, so it's like okay, so he clearly survived because I feel like that would be like the last scene you would see is Gus's death, but there was more. But then we find like obviously you should if you go on my YouTube channel and just look up the picture, you see like half of his face is just blown off pretty much.
And I like the way they framed it too. Like he steps out and he starts adjusting his tie, so you think,
Yeah.
oh, he's okay. But then like when the nurses rush over, they're like looking at him like horrified, and then
Yeah.
you see his like face, so you can kind of like you think he's okay, and then you think, oh wait, something's wrong, and
Yeah.
then you see his face, and you're like, oh fuck, he is super dead.
And then he falls to the floor and dies. Or vice versa, but basically he dies. And this is really cool because I don't know if you talked about that in these recaps, but I like it in Breaking Bad when people will die, but stay in character before their death. Like Gus had to tighten up his tie right before he died, and then later on when Mike dies, he still like hates Walt and says, "Shut the fuck up, let me die in peace."
Yeah, and
I think Tuco, same thing. He had to like be that hothead before he died and shoot Hank. A lot of people.
yeah,
I think
and
the only
oh sorry.
I think the only one that doesn't die in character is like Walt because his character's like changes a lot in the show. But
I feel like he's pretty much the same. Like he dies in like his precious meth lab, like
Yeah,
he's like admiring the equipment.
what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure like the adjusting his tie thing. I'm pretty sure that was like his actor added that in. Like Vince was
Yeah.
like, so how do you like what do you think Gus should do after he gets blown up? And I think he was like he should like walk out and like adjust his tie.
Yeah.
And Vince was like, that's good.
So obviously then they have this special on the DVD of season 4 where it goes through like the whole moments like basically of this last scene. You know, basically this was planned out like since the first episode of season 4, like how Gus was gonna die. Which obviously you can tell because
which makes sense. You know, it's like you should have like some kind of idea of how the season's gonna end.
Because TV shows don't they have like an overall plan, but sometimes like episodes just happen to work out that way where it's just planned that way. This was something that they planned since obviously not season 2, but like season 4. Because they knew Gus was going this season, so they wanted to make him go in a cool way. And they hired, which is kind of cool for me, and maybe will be cool for you once you watch the show. The Walking Dead's like head makeup artist, Greg Nicotero, to like, you know, obviously make Gus's face look like it actually got blown up. They had made a bust of his head of what it was gonna look like. And they had that just sitting there for months, and then obviously they had to go and make it like his actual like face look like that later on. Gus said that like he liked it, but it sucked because his face was like so numb on that side, obviously. What you could imagine. It was so cool because Bryan Cranston actually went to see like what it did, and he makes like this joke, says, "This is what happens when you mess with me." Like, and like, you know, the actor that plays Hector says, "We both had it bad," and Gus is like, "You had it bad. You just got blown into bits and pieces. Look at my face." Like,
okay, I'm gonna have to watch that. That sounds cool.
I hope it's on YouTube. If it's not, I can just maybe like if we're together, I'll just put this part of the DVD in for you.
Yeah, I'll be up in a few months, so you know we'll hang out then.
Yeah. Then you know, more stories like it took 19 takes to get like Gus's walkout like perfect because he walks out once and he trips. He walks out once and then like one of the walls.
He tripped on the makeup and like ruined it.
Yeah. That would suck. But like there was actual like they used like some acid to like make the explosion happen. Pretty much like a lot of work went into this.
Yeah, I can imagine. This definitely feels like there's a lot of work into it, which I really
appreciate. I think Vince Gilligan said like he was getting pissed off like that it took 19 takes to get it to work because I imagine, I mean, you could see how pissed off we get like trying to get Skype to work. I can imagine like being pissed off like
19 takes of like a show, yeah.
And funny thing is, it was the 19th take that he liked. Can you imagine how pissed off everyone would be if they did 19 takes and it was like the first one that he liked?
I know, right? Oh my god, we haven't seen it. You haven't seen it yet, but the old Spider-Man movie from like 2002. Yeah. There's a scene where Spider-Man has to like catch things on a tray. Yeah. They actually did that where like food flung in the air and he had to like land it perfectly on the tray. That was like over 100 takes.
Yeah, so
I felt so bad for the guy. I'm like, I would want to quit the movie if they made me like catch food on a tray perfectly like 100 times.
Yeah. Like this takes like you haven't seen it yet, but in The Shining, like one of the lead actresses has to do like so many takes of stuff that it like caused her to have like all this mental health problems. You'll see, and I'll point it out to you when you see what the take is, and you'll be like, obviously you know here's Johnny's scene, like they did that so many times, like she was mentally fucked up afterwards. You can imagine. Really? Yeah.
Wow, that's okay. That's
that movie. That movie gave her, she is not okay now in real life.
Really, like what? Okay, we'll have to talk about that off camera because I didn't know that.
There's other scene. Well, there's also another scene though that you don't know about either. So, yeah, pretty much like a lot of work went into this scene. And I feel like at least it was I feel like too, like if you would ask Vince Gilligan, it's obviously beneficial. It's really cool to think like he did a director's role too. Like the head creator of a show really doesn't really do like a director's role, so it's cool like he's actually like working with the actors and the talent and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's cool that like he was getting involved. I think that's cool.
This is the last episode too. He like directs, I think, until like the last one.
Didn't know that either. That's cool.
See,
that's cool. You're really good at knowing about like all the behind the scenes stuff.
That's because I have
like behind the scene things I was like super interested in was like the last shootout of season 5.
I mean, obviously because I have this DVD right here, and I can
right.
So then I think if you had this DVD, you probably would have known it too. So because like season 5, I'm not gonna know any. I'll probably know some, but not a lot. So but then like I said, Gus's death, it's awesome. So Walt finds out about it because it plays on the news, and he finds out like all the casualties and stuff. And I really like Walt's reaction. Like he has like a sigh, not like a relief when Gus dies. We made this comparison originally when we did the Death Note Breaking Bad comparisons after the big rivals died.
Yeah, how Light was just like laughing like crazy at Elle's funeral, and how Gus is just like, I won,
Yeah.
He's just relieved. I do like that moment on the roof with Walt and Jesse, where Jesse's like, turns out Gus didn't poison him. He got poisoned with some like flower called Lily of the Valley.
Yep.
But Walt's like, Gus needed to go though.
Yeah.
And, they have like that handshake and they're like on good terms.
It's
probably like the last time they're on like such good terms ever. Because like at the start of season 5, they're pretty rocky.
I would say like the last time they're on good terms is like when Jesse gives Walt the watch, and then that's it.
Well, like I mean, like good terms as in like, Walt was pretty cold to Jesse. Like he was like so egotistical, and he was kind of like ignoring Jesse.
Yep.
Yeah. Even here, like he's like still manipulating Jesse by making him think that he didn't poison Brock.
Yeah.
But I feel like the handshake was genuine at least.
So then, before that, Walt saves Jesse the first time from slavery, even though like I bet Jesse was like, this ain't bad. He was only in slavery for like 2 minutes probably.
He didn't even have to do anything slave like, he just got handcuffed to a machine.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool, by the way, when Walt just came in and like gunned down 2 guys and like freed Jesse, and he was just like, Gus is dead.
And then they
also the scene where they burned down the super lab was really cool.
Yeah. What's cool is Gail's coffee machine was still there, and that gets destroyed too.
I kind of like the difference between, like you said it, like the RV getting destroyed was like very emotional and sad, and like in the end of an era, and the super lab getting destroyed is kind of like a triumphant badass thing.
It's also an end of an era too, because this was the last time they were like working for somebody. Obviously
this is like their own bosses.
This is like the step of them really going into the big leagues, and like they're like the top guns in the.
Yeah, like here they're in the big leagues, but after this they're like they're the top guys, like you said. What was I gonna say? By the way, season 5 has like the best use of music like in the series, hands down, like no questions.
Yep.
But the scene, like with the music playing while they're like destroying the super lab, like busting open all the gasoline and stuff, that's pretty cool. I won't lie. Yep. But again, season 5 still like hands down has like the best music, gliding all overall, Felina, all that. Easy.
And then afterwards we have that scene where they reconcile. We find, this is when we find out that Brock was poisoned via the Lily of the Valley. They shake and reconcile. I really like that because that showed that like they were finally in good terms with each other for the first time in a while.
Yeah. And then season 5 happens, and then that all that shit goes away.
I feel like too, in a sense too, like this is the first time really since like season 3 they really been on good terms. Because in season 4, Jesse was so fucked in the beginning, like
Yeah, because like he was like traumatized from the whole Gale situation. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the first time they've been on good terms like all season.
Yep. So and then I think Skylar calls Walt, and then it's all over the news that Gus died. They think it's the cartel that got to him. And Skylar's like, "Was this you?" And then all Walt says is, "I won," and hangs up. I like too how he keeps like a Los Polos thing like on him. That's like a memory of like he won.
And I think the last shot is Gus's Walt sitting by the pool, and we see him like looking at a pot with Lily of the Valley flower in it.
Yep.
So it's showing that Walt was the one who poisoned Brock.
And this has good music too, because I like the music that plays. Because there's like a lyric that says like, even if something that turns, it just really defined like how Walt became like he poisoned a child now. To
it's like, pretty fucked. Even though Walt knew it wouldn't kill him, that's still pretty fucked up.
And then this is where we get like the speculation. Like in a sense, I have to say like Walt had no choice pretty much. Like this was the only way he was going to be able to get to Gus.
But even then, that's I would not want to poison a child,
Yeah.
to like save my own ass.
And you knew, by the way, too, like this was gonna get this was gonna get brought up again. Like
Oh yeah, you knew this wasn't gonna be the end of it. You knew Jesse was gonna find out at some point.
Yeah. It's crazy to think too. This was supposed to be the end of the season, and I have to, or the end of the show, I should say. I have to imagine, they had to add this on like when they found out they got renewed for another season as like an add-on towards the end, like not last minute,
right.
but.
Yeah, I was probably thinking that like Gus really was the one who poisoned Brock, and then they got renewed.
Yeah. So they had so I'm not saying they had to come up with this last minute because I think when you get renewed for a season of the show, you don't find out like right before you're done filming the old season. You find out.
Yeah, I imagine they find out like they have a good amount in advance.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I really and then obviously this is this leads to like. It's crazy. This led to like the awesome season that was in season 5. So
yeah, season 4 is still really good though. Breaking Bad is awesome in that every season just gets better and better.
Yep, and this was one of those cases. So I'm gonna do my letter grade first.
Mm-hmm. Now, been a while since we've done one of these.
I'm gonna give it an A+. And even though I hate the Ted storyline, we at least got the crawl space scene out of it, so at least we get something out of it. And it wasn't this. It's not. I know everyone's gonna say, well, it's the same case with Neo. No, Neo is a different monster. Neo ruined that in like because Neo ruined like a big story in a different way. This didn't ruin. This led to like a great story. So, so not the same thing.
The Ted and Skyler thing is annoying, but like at least it led to a good thing. It is annoying that we had to get we had to get that shit to get to the good part.
Yeah.
So, but like Nier, it's like Nier was more in your face, I would say.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give it an A+, and I'm gonna give it 100. So.
100. All right. I'm gonna give it an A+. I'm gonna give it like a 97, 96.
Okay.
Obviously season 5 is my favorite. Although let me just say, for a season, like a whole season of a show, to get an A+, that's pretty good. That's really good. Like not a lot of shows can do that for me.
I mean, they had like they had a story that lasted from like the beginning of the season till all the way to the end of the season. Like,
yeah,
I don't think a lot of TV shows really have that. Like a one season storyline like that. Like,
yeah, and like RVB, like season 5 is one of my favorite seasons of RVB, and it only got like an A-.
Yeah, so
like, that should really show like Breaking Bad, a whole season getting an A+, and season 5 is even better. To say something.
I mean, this was kind of like when Mike started to become more of like a main character of the show.
Yeah, like we got a little bit of that with the half measure speech, but this is like him fully being like a character.
Yeah, and then you got to see like Jesse and Mike team up for the first time in that partnership.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool seeing like Jesse kind of look at Mike like a father figure and kind of how that relates to Walt being his father figure.
And then you really get to see like Jesse like get to kind of stand on his own in this season.
Yeah, Gus is a great villain. Walt kind of like having that struggle with like his family and like feeling guilty about leaving Jesse and just like losing it in the crawl space and becoming like pure evil.
Getting to see like Hank at his lowest point and then go to like probably like back to like not his highest point because obviously that comes in season 5 in a sense, but like his good point, like get back to a good graces and stuff.
The lowest points of the season are probably Hank being like out of commission for the most part, but that makes sense. Like if Hank was just fine and ready to go after the whole shootout, I would have been more mad about that.
Yeah.
So, but it is nice that Hank is like doing stuff at least, towards the end at least. And again, like the Skyler and Ted thing sucks. Like just
and then maybe like Jesse being out of commission, like towards kind of the end of the episode, like
the season finale.
Yeah,
which I mean, I kind of get it. Like it's supposed to be like a Gus and Walt showdown, but like it would have been nice to see more Jesse like take part.
But it does. I still think it's. I'm sticking with my 100 because the positives are like so awesome that like they overweigh the negatives.
Oh yeah,
So
it's great. Like easily an A+. Like
yeah,
like it's not perfect, but like nothing is.
yeah,
Like its goods are like far, far, far outshine the negatives, and even the negatives are like what, like 3, 4 things.
yeah. Like how often in TV shows do you get like only three negatives? Like,
Yeah, it's so definitely A+. Like
yeah.
it's great. Go see the show already if you haven't.
Look at this. We've been talking like almost for 2 hours.
I know
I
it's
could.
pretty great. It's been a while since we made a video, and I'm
I
glad
think
we're
that's.
coming back. Yeah,
I think
series.
that's. I think that's why. Because we haven't talked about any of this stuff in a while. So,
Yeah.
uh, I'll just say now we plan on finishing the Breaking Bad universe. Not this week. We'll probably finish season 5, but probably next week we're gonna finally review El Camino.
Yeah.
So
Well, the universe for now. We'll do Better Call Saul at some point, but we'll wait on that
yeah,
because before we wanted to take a break after we finished Breaking Bad, but then the movie came out. Then we started doing these videos to get ready for it.
yeah,
So really, we didn't have that time to like get that break.
yeah.
So now, for real, after we finish these, we're gonna get that break from Breaking Bad.
Same thing with Death Note.
Yeah, we're gonna review the live action movies, well, most of them, and then we're gonna take a break from that, and we'll come back to that at some point.
Yep. All right. So let's end the video. Is there anything you want to plug or promote?
Check out my channel, AJ Talent. I made a couple videos on those.
And then obviously for me, you could check out all of my channels. I'll see on Brother's channel. We're coming up on the 800th video, and the 800th video is going to be at we don't know when yet. It's probably going to be within the next month or so.
I thought it was 400th video.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it might be 400th.
Yeah, well, 800 and 400, those are pretty different numbers.
Well, I lose track because I have 3 YouTube channels. So.
Oh right.
So once we actually start making videos on there again, I'll know. So.
Oh, yeah, well,
we're gonna make.
CM Brothers is where you mainly see me in the videos. We'll be reviewing the Death Note live action movies and
Yep.
VB season 6 soon. So look forward to that.
And then you're gonna see on this channel, like I said, we're gonna review. We're gonna finish the Breaking Bad universe. Well, post Better Call Saul, anyways. And then on my wrestling channel, I have a lot of wrestling videos planned, so just check those out. So. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys.
Well, hang on. Pretty rare because I'm never on your wrestling channel, but we'll be reviewing Dark Side of the Ring. I don't know, probably like a month and a half.
Something like that, yeah.
Fairly soon. So I'll be on your channel for that, and probably someone else.
And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. We will talk to you guys later.
Bye.